I've always felt like I forget basically everything that I want to remember, whether it's ideas, facts, thoughts and feelings that I've had in the past, quotes, funny moments, jokes, basically anything. And I want to remember more things. And so 4 years ago, I decided to tackle this problem head on and I created my second brain. Obviously, I don't remember every single thing now, but this second brain always happens, man. Obviously, at the start of videos as well. Obviously, I don't remember everything, but having a second brain has really helped. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Tintin and I have two brains. One here and one here. So what is a second brain? It's essentially a place where you store externally all your ideas, thoughts, feelings, jokes, whatever, the things that we mentioned earlier, and you can access them at any time in the future. It's just a place to keep all the information that matters to you. So this is actually quite an established idea now, having a second brain. You can take courses on how to build like really complicated second brains that kind of exist like Wikipedia, but for your own life and your own thoughts and feelings and ideas and stuff like that. They can kind of reference each other and link together. Mine is much more simple. And I didn't know at the time when I started it that there was this idea of a second brain. I just wanted to remember more of the things that I thought about. So I started mine in my second year of university, and I just wanted to remember at the time more of the things that I was thinking about. It wasn't so much academic stuff that was going on at university. It was more just like the ideas that I had, the thoughts and feelings that I had, remembering interesting facts, interesting quotes, and I just wanted like one place to store everything that I could return to. It's really simple to just read back and remember the things that I wanted to remember. It was just all the day-to-day thoughts that we all have. I just wanted to remember more of them. So I actually started it with a pen and paper, which I actually managed to find. So I had this little notebook here and this tiny little pen, and I carried these around with me and wrote stuff down when I wanted to remember something. In here, it started off, this is on the 21st of January, 2018. I wrote down play cards more. I wrote down on the 31st of January 2018, Freud, main reason for why people grow up to become psychoneurotics is to do with their parents. I guess I was interested in that at the time. On the 9th of February, I just wrote down I want to work harder. So I just wrote down things that I was thinking about here, but it was quite impractical to carry this around and keep a pen on you. So what I eventually started doing was writing things down on my phone, because it was always with me. I didn't have to explain why I was like on my phone instead of, you know, when I was writing something down on this little notepad, people might ask like, what are you writing down? And whatever I wrote down on my phone, like automatically saved and uploaded to the cloud so I could view it wherever I was, and it was just way more efficient to create my second brain that way. So I just started writing down anything that I wanted to remember, anything that came to mind, and I picked out some random things that I wrote in 2018, 19, and 2021. For example, I wrote down basmati rice is the best rice, whole grain not so much. In 2019, I wrote down the Charles de Gaulle Airport is named after World War II general who led a parade down the Champs-Elysees after the liberation of Paris. In November 2018, I wrote down say happy birthday to everyone, better safe than sorry, which is quite a funny joke that I guess I wanted to write down. Write a letter to the surgeon who fixed your hand, he'd really appreciate it. Remember the book, This Is Going to Hurt, staff live off the appreciation. So that one is in reference to the fact that I have a missing finger on my right hand and I had an accident. The doctor had to amputate my finger, and I read this book called This Is Going to Hurt, which was written by a junior doctor, and he said that in the NHS, because the thing that drives them most of the time is the appreciation from patients. So I read the book and it reminded me of the doctor who operated my hand, and it reminded me, or made me feel like I should write a letter to him, and I still haven't. So this is kind of a reminder that that's still something that I could do, which I'm sure he would appreciate. Another thing that I wrote down was you can think of space and time together as a four-dimensional entity called space-time, Einstein's general theory of relativity. 3 dimensions of space and 1 dimension of time is 4 dimensions, space-time. I don't know why I wanted to remember that, but I guess Einstein's general theory of relativity is something that people often reference, and I just wanted to have a simple definition of it in there, so I wrote it down. Next thing, 4 post-uni options to pursue: football, coaching, medicine, accounting, and technology. Not really sure what technology means just as a broad field like that, but I'm not doing any of those things now, but useful and interesting to see that that is some of the things that I was thinking about. I did end up doing football coaching. Medicine was a bit ambitious just to sort of write down like, I'm gonna potentially pursue this, but interesting to see that that's what I was thinking about. And then 5th of September 2018, this is 3.5 years ago, I wrote, maybe you should do video diaries or blogs, etc. about your life. Could be easier and more interesting than writing. You could even edit them so they were shorter and more fun I don't know, just thinking, but just talking to the camera could be easier and funner to watch back. This is in reference to this diary specifically. So I, at the time, was thinking that I should have done video diaries for myself to watch, not to put on YouTube, but I also was thinking about making YouTube videos. And amazing to see that I was thinking about this 3.5 years ago, and it took me basically 3 years after this to actually get started making these types of videos. So that was interesting to read back. Headspace note on relationships: often we want people to be someone or something that they're not. And then the next thing, a quote: be the person you wish you could be, not the person you feel you are doomed to be. And that was from this girl Florence, from a book called Everything I Know About Love by Dolly Alderton. So that's the kind of random thing that I wanted to remember, that I wrote down over the past few years. And now when I read them back, I can just see what I was thinking about at the time, and I can remember things that I've completely forgotten. And it's just useful, if not a bit strange as well. So to move on to things I've written down more recently, these are actually things that I've written down this year in 2022, and I've edited it because there's some personal stuff in there that I've removed, but these are some random things that I was thinking about. So I wrote down today, I wrote down indecision is the thief of time. I wrote down a week ago, you're improving every day, bro, let's get it. And then I wrote, whenever I slow down and I'm less busy, I always have good thoughts that help me with my big picture thinking and have good ideas. I wrote down some thoughts about the Diary of a CEO show, which I went to see. It's the live version of the podcast, The Diary of a CEO, which I really like. This top one here, Stephen said this thing about personal relationships. When there's contempt, it becomes you versus them, not you and them versus the problem. I just thought it was such an awesome idea. I had to write that down. Then we've got just some different things that I wrote down about people that inspire me. We've got something about Grace Lorden's book, something about Mo Gaudat, something about Robert Iger, who's another, he's the CEO of Disney, and I was listening to his book on Audible, and those are his 10 principles of leadership. Something Ali Abdaal was talking about, who's a YouTuber. And then I wrote down this thing about start and keep going. That's kind of it. Two important caveats to though. It's hard to know what to start and it's hard to keep going. Just thinking about that on that day. On the 10th of February 2022, I wrote down working memory. This is the amount of information you can hold in your mind whilst working through a problem, especially whilst distracted. It is severely limited, but a larger working memory generally indicates a higher IQ. I just thought it was a really interesting idea about working memory, and it kind of made me think about intelligence slightly differently. Another thing from Stephen Bartlett I wrote down on the 4th of February. And then 2nd of February, I wrote down this thing. I think about the Stockdale paradox. You must maintain unwavering faith that you can and will prevail in the end, regardless of the difficulties, and at the same time, have the discipline to confront the most brutal facts of your current reality, whatever they might be. Interesting idea, wanted to write it down. So that was just to give you some context around the types of things that I might write down in my second brain, so that you don't feel weird writing down whatever weird things that you want to write down in your second brain. I am going to go through now why I think you should have a second brain. I'm going to split this into two categories. There's the process of writing it, and then there's the process of reading it back in the future. So the process of writing things down, there are three main benefits. There's you remember more things just simply by writing them down. Number two is that you learn more about yourself because you have to distill and condense your thoughts and ideas and feelings, or even quotes, into your own words. Not quotes, obviously, but you have to write them down into your diary, and that process helps you learn more about yourself because you have to condense things down into something that you can articulate, and that process helps you form opinions, it helps you form beliefs, it helps you learn about what you care about, what you're interested in. Just by virtue of writing things down, you realize what you want to write down, what you don't want to write down, what you care about. It's just a constant process of reflection. And that's related to the third benefit of writing things down, which is that it gets you into this mindset of constant reflection and evaluation about your life, about your actions, about your beliefs. It just shifts you into this way of thinking that's critical about everything. And whenever you write something down, it just aids that process. So secondly, the process of reading it back. Again, there are three things. First thing is that by reading things back, you just remember more things and revisit things that you've forgotten in the past. Super useful. All these things that you've written down because you wanted to remember them, you can just read them and then they're in your memory again. The second thing is that you see how you have changed. So by reading things in the past, you can see the types of things that you cared about then, the types of things that you were thinking about, what you wanted to remember. It's like going back in time a little bit. And this is related to the third thing, which is that the more time goes on, the more valuable this becomes, because you can see even more how you've changed, the things you used to care about, the things that you wanted to remember, and you can store even more things about yourself, about the world, in your mind. Having this section of my notes called My Brain, where I write things down, has been the single biggest habit that has changed my life over the past few years. Being able to effectively transport yourself back in time and have a conversation effectively with your former self, the types of things that they wanted to remember, the facts they wanted to remember, the quotes, the jokes, the funny moments, the ideas, the thoughts and feelings that they had, being able to see how you've changed, how your dreams have changed, how your ambitions have changed, your anxieties, your concerns, your problems. It is so useful to see that. I think for me, the real benefit is just that you can see that you change. And I think understanding that and knowing that really frees up your life now, because you can see, okay, I actually can become this type of person. I can do this thing. I can try whatever I want to try and kind of live whatever life I want to live. I think that's one of the biggest benefits of it from me, is you can see your life as a bit of a journey, and you can understand that where you are now is just part of that journey. So we'll finish off with some tips for you to get started with your second brain. So I just use Apple Notes on my phone. You can use whatever note-taking software that you use, Notion, Roam, Evernote, Bear. I think there are some other ones out there. I just write the date at the top and then a bullet point and do whatever. And the approach that I have is fast, bad, wrong. So whatever is in my mind, I just type it out on my phone or on my laptop if that's where I am. I just write it fast, bad, wrong. So I get it out of my head quickly. It doesn't matter if it's bad. It doesn't matter if it's wrong. Once it's on the page, I can then see what I think about it, how I feel about it. I'm like, oh no, I didn't like that bit. I can delete that bit. I did like that bit. I'm gonna keep that. I can just rearrange my thoughts, my words, until I've got something that I like. And it's just a really powerful way of getting over that like kind of fear of starting, a fear of like, oh, I sound silly when I write something, or I don't know how to start this. It's just fast, bad, wrong. That's the way to get over it. Have no judgment over yourself. I hope I've shown you that you can write down the weirdest things and it's just for you. So you don't have to show anyone. It doesn't matter what you write down, but just get into this process of reflecting, writing things down that you want to remember. It's just really, really useful. Do it as much as you can for as long as you can, because the longer you do it, the more valuable it becomes. And one of the things I actually see a lot in my second brain is just the sentence, I need to write in here more, because just even doing that gets me in the habit of writing in it more. It's just me recognizing that I'm not writing in it enough and I want to keep up the habit, so I just write that down sometimes. So I try to reread my notes that I've written that week on a Sunday evening as part of something that I call the Sunday night review. So I do a few things on a Sunday night where I think about the week that has just gone and the week that's coming up. And I made a video about my process of the Sunday night review, which you can watch here. But otherwise, thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and also comment as well, anything that you found interesting in this video. And I will see you in the next one. Never forget to hydrate. I'm so quick.